Okay, so today we're going to take a 30-second heart rate from his wrist. So first what we want to do is you want to make sure you have your stopwatch available. I'm going to use my index and my middle finger to palpate his wrist for his radial artery to find his heart rate. Okay, I found it. Now we're going to go for 30 seconds and let's start. $33. Okay, so we're going to take his resting blood pressure. So you need your blood pressure cuff, your stethoscope, so you're going to take his arm, and you want to use your index finger and your middle finger to palpate his brachial artery that's on the inside where his pinky is, along the lines. So you want to find it. That's where you want to put your cuff. Okay, so grab your stethoscope, switch sides. Stand again, you want to palpate. Perfect. So you want to listen for that crop hop sound. Put it all the way up to 200 and you're going to slowly release. $128. Over 96. 86, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going to do a skin fold test. So you need a goniometer, you need a measuring tape, and a pen to mark where you're going to measure. So for males, you're going to measure the pec, the abdomen, and the thigh. So you want to measure the middle in between the crease of the armpit to the nipple. So we're going to measure that first. Okay, mark your spot. Perfect. You want to go 2 inches from your umbilicus. And then for the thigh, you want to go the crease of the hip to the front of the patella. Find that crease. Perfect. So this is the tool you're going to use. You're going to pinch the fat, the skin, and then you're going to pinch about 3 inches and pull to separate the muscle from the skin, from the fat. We're going to do it twice at each location just to make sure our measurements are good. So first we're going to pinch here. Like I said, we're going to get a good 3-inch pinch and pull. 17, 3-inch, You want to make sure you don't get into the umbilicus. And you want to do a vertical pinch for the abdomen, but you want to do a horizontal for the pec and the thigh. "24. Pinch and pull. 15. Okay. Relax a little. You don't want to do it too soon, too often, too many pulls, because then the skin starts to get thinner and loosens. 3 inches and pull. 17. This side. 24. And 15. Okay, we're going to be doing a hip to waist measurement. So the key part is you want to use measuring tape first of all, but you want to have your person, their arms out, and you want to look for the smallest part of their waist, and that's what we're going to measure. You also want to make sure your measurement is perfect around. You don't want it to be a little lopsided. So let's go ahead and find, this is the smallest part of his waist. Like I said, even it out. Perfect. Right at 37. Okay, so now for his hips, we're going to go ahead and turn sideways. You want to get the largest part of his hip all the way around. Make sure it's nice and even. This is 43. Thank you. Okay, so this next one we're going to do is the sit and reach test. So what you do is set up, you want to put a measuring tape, put it out. At 15, you want to put a piece of tape, and you want to make sure that their feet are lined up with 15 inches. That is their goal, to get past that 15 inches. So the main part is you sit standing up. You don't want your feet to go out. You don't want your knees to go out. You don't want your knees to come up. When you reach, you want to reach with both hands, one on top of the other. Reach forward. You don't want one hand in front of the other while you reach. Okay, make sure we keep them right on front, on top of each other. Feet stay. Once again, you don't want them out. Don't pick them up. Don't pick your knees up. We're going to do this twice. Go ahead and once you reach, hold it for a second so I can get a measurement, and then you can breathe out. So the main part is you want to inhale, and when you exhale, go ahead and reach. So whenever you're ready. 15. Make sure we get both of those fingers at the same time. 15 and a half. Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to do is the push-ups sit-up portion of muscular endurance. So first we're going to do the push-ups. The push-ups is a burnout, so you do as many as you can, as long as they're good form. So good form is, let's start down here. You're going to have your hands shoulder width apart. Make sure they're lined up. Back straight. You can have your feet dorsiflex like this. If you cannot do them this way, modified way is putting your knees down, feet dorsiflexed as well. So for you, since you don't need modified, we're going to come up all the way. You want to flex your elbows, have your chest hit, and come back up. Make sure your back stays straight. You don't want your elbows to go out this way. You also don't want your back to lean and come down like this. So I'm going to be watching and making sure everything's fine. You have 2 chances to correct yourself if something's wrong, and I'll stop you if I have to. If not, I'll kind of coach you throughout the way a little. So you're gonna do as many as you can. Once you think you're done, then you can just stop. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, pick up your back a little, 25, 26, 27, good, 28, 29, get the a little lower, 30, 31, up. We're not going to count that one, so 31. Thanks. Next is the sit-up portion. So he's going to do as many sit-ups as he can within a minute. So for the setup, you can use a mat if you want, just so you don't slip. It's your preference. But you're going to put 2 pieces of tape 3 inches apart from each other. Go ahead and sit down with your legs flat, feet flat, knees bent. You're going to line up your hands with the first part of the tape. Okay, so what you're going to do is it's going to be a slide. So you're going to slide forward, make sure you get to the second tape, come back down, okay? We don't want your feet to come up and help you go. Okay, it just has to be a slide. Once again, don't pick your feet up, don't move your arms. Just a nice slide, as many as you can within a minute, okay? Back, feet flex, knees flex. Good, and let's, give me 1 second, and let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, almost done, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, done. 47, go ahead and sit back with your back there. I'm going to take a 30-second heart rate. Okay, I'm going to use my index finger and my middle finger to palpate his radial artery on his wrist to find his heartbeat. Okay, and let's go 30 seconds. Let's get his blood pressure. Pull your arm up, good. Once again, take your middle finger and your index finger, palpate for the brachial artery. I'm gonna pump him up all the way to 200. And slowly release. $142. Over 94. And slowly release the rest of the way out. So this next one is to measure his flexibility. We're gonna measure the flexibility of his elbow, his shoulder, his hip, and his knee. So we're gonna use our goniometer. So first, to do his elbow, we're gonna put the axis at his lateral epicondyle of his humerus. Your stable part is gonna be the shaft of his humerus, and the moving arm is gonna be his radius. So go ahead and bring your palm as close to your bicep as possible. And line that up. And we're at 112. Okay, for his shoulder, we are going to line up the fulcrum with his acromion process. The stationary is going to be in line with his thorax, and the moving arm is going to be in line with his lateral epicondyle. So let's go ahead and start. Since we lose his acromion process when he completely flexes, we are going to give it about right here. We're just going to keep it in line with it as he flexes. So go ahead and flex. Right there. Okay, we are at 174. Now we're going to do his other knee. So fulcrum is going to be at the lateral epicondyle of his femur. The stable arm is going to be his greater trochanter, and the moving arm is going to be his lateral malleolus. Go ahead and bring your foot to your butt. $120. Okay, so to get the flexion of his hip, he is going to bend his knee like this, nice and flexed, and then he's going to bring his knee to his chest, and we're going to measure his flexibility. So the fulcrum is going to be at his greater trochanter. Stable is going to be in line with his midline of his pelvis, and we're going to line this up with the lateral midline of his femur. So let's go ahead and bring your knee to your chest. $103. Now to get his other side of his elbow, once again the fulcrum is going to be at the lateral epicondyle of his humerus. The moving part is going to be his radius, and the stable part is going to be the shaft of his humerus. Go ahead and bring your palm to your bicep. 125. Next we're going to do his shoulder. So we're going to use his acromion process is going to be where the fulcrum's at. The stable part is going to be the midline, in line with his thorax, and the moving arm is going to be parallel with his lateral epicondyle. Okay, go ahead. $174. And to get his last hip, we're going to do the fulcrum at the greater trochanter. The stationary is going to be the midline of his pelvis, and the moving arm is going to be the lateral midline of his femur. So go ahead and you're going to bring your knee to your chest. Go ahead all the way. Okay, and that is 107. Okay, so to get the flexion of his knee, he's going to bring his heel to his butt. We're going to place the fulcrum of the goniometer, the lateral epicondyle of his femur. The stationary is his greater trochanter, and the moving arm is his lateral malleolus. So go ahead and bring it to your butt. Perfect. 120 exactly. Okay, so the exercise we're going to do for the upper body push is we're going to do the incline dumbbell press. And what you want to do is you want to find a bench press that inclines. So you can choose any different type, any variation of height that you want. You basically want decent amount. It kind of depends on your levels. So what we're going to do is you want to choose your dumbbells, any size, something that you can press about 8 times. So we're going to do 8 reps for 3 sets. So whatever you think is challenging enough but easy enough to press is what we're going to choose. So for demonstration, I'm going to use 15s. So you want to pick up your dumbbells. Make sure your hands are in a neutral position, which means your palms are facing each other. You're going to lay flat on your back. Make sure your back's flat. You want to pinch your scaps together throughout the entire time. And you're going to press. So your hands and your elbows are going to be in a neutral position. Scaps are together, and you're going to press up and down. So as you go up, you're going to go from a neutral position to your palms facing forward. Make sure you don't hit your weights together. It's going to make you lose your balance. And you come back down slowly. You also can go one at a time, but you just want to make sure you don't get too wide to press, because that's not an incline bench. You're going to end up hurting your shoulders. So you want to be nice and controlled, straight up, nice and slow coming down. Make sure your back's not completely extended, nice and straight, up and down. Like I said, we're going to do 8 reps for 3 sets. Now let's have you try it. So as you see, he grabbed 30s for 8 reps. That is a good norm for him. So like I said, make sure your scaps are pinched together. Activate your core, hands are neutral next to you. Good. Go ahead and push up. Make sure you don't hit your weights at the top. Good, there you go. Nice, slow and controlled coming down, neutral position. You also want to make sure your feet are nice and flat on the floor. Good job with that. And let's do one more. Nice, and bring them down to your thigh and then down to the floor. Good job. The lower body exercise we're going to do is a weighted lunge. So I am using weight plates. They're 10 pounds each, nice and easy to grab. Nothing too heavy. This is a huge balance exercise as well. So if you don't have great balance, I would suggest doing it without weights. So I'm going to use 10-pound weights. You want to keep your head neutral, your back up nice and straight. You want to activate your core, make sure it's nice and tight. By that, you want to pull your belly button back. Pull your belly button to your back. So depending on your size, you want to take about 2 feet plus of a step. So just a nice step. What you want to do is you want to go straight down. You want to be about an inch or so off of the floor. Push up through your front heel. So whatever foot is moving, that's the heel you want to push up from. Nice and down and back up. So we want to avoid a valgus knee, okay? If anything, you want to push your knee out a little bit and come back straight. Keep your head forward. You don't want to be leaning too far, but also you don't want to be too straight. So a nice little lean. Also, you want to make sure your knee does not pass over your foot. It's bad form. You're going to end up hurting your knee. So nice right in front of your, right behind your toe. So we're going to do that both sides, 8 sets for about 8 reps for about 3 sets. So let's go ahead and give that a try. Okay, now your turn. Nice big step. Make sure you push through that heel. Make sure your core is nice and tight. It's a nice little lean. Good job. Let's do one more. Nice. So the upper body stretch I decided to do is a IYT stretch. I decided to choose this stretch because my volunteer is a very active sports player, and mainly right now he's playing slow pitch softball. So he has some issues occasionally with his shoulders getting stuck or getting sore and tired from throwing a lot, and he plays the outfield, so he has to throw far. So I chose the IYTs to not only give him that stretch that he needs in different locations, and also that flexibility, but it's also gonna help strengthen him. We'll start off body weight, and then once he gets good at that and it becomes easy, then we can add a little bit of weight, so we're not only getting that stretch, but we're getting that strength and that flexibility. So I think this is a huge part. It helps him use his shoulders, his scaps, and his thoracic back all together in one. So that's why I chose this exercise for him to do, this stretch. So we're gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna have you lay in the prone position. You wanna make sure your head and your thoracic back are in line when you're laying nice and down. Examples like this. You also wanna make sure when you start that your core is nice and tight, so you wanna pull your belly button to your back. So we're gonna start with eyes first. Each rep, we're gonna do 10 reps, 3 sets. So we'll go through eyes, then you'll go Ys, and then we'll go Ts. So start eyes. Make sure, again, you're nice aligned, your head to your thoracic spine. Out in front, you want a neutral. Nice and neutral, thumbs up. Squeeze everything. You can either dorsiflex or plantar flex your feet. It's up to you, whatever you choose. I like to tuck them. And we're gonna lift. Make sure you use your shoulders when you're lifting and not all of your back. You wanna make sure we're working on the shoulders and your scaps strengthening. So, nice and lift. Then we're gonna go to Y. So a Y is about 45-degree angle. Same thing, your head and your thoracic spine nice and aligned. You also want your core tight, don't forget about that. Neutral position, thumbs up, palms facing forward. And a nice lift. And then last, we want T's. You want 90-degree angle. You don't want to be too far up. You don't want to be too far back. Nice 90-degree angle. Down, and a nice lift with your shoulders and your scaps. So we want to make sure we're not completely lifting up. We don't want to extend our back. Okay, we want a nice, try to as straight as we can. You're gonna have a little extension, but not too much. As well as you want to nice and control all of your movements. You don't want to just throw your hands up. The whole main part is about flexibility and stability of our shoulders and our scaps and our thoracic. So let's go ahead and try this. So neutral hand position, good. Make sure your core is nice and tight. Your back, your head, your thoracic back's all nice and in line. Okay, go ahead, let's do 5 at each. Very nice control. Nice and in line. 45 degrees, good. Very nice. Nice and controlled. Let's go to T. Way to keep your head and your thoracic back in line. Good job. So the stretch I chose is a pigeon stretch for the lower body stretch. My volunteer really struggled with the YMCA sit and reach. So I chose a pigeon stretch to not only help his hip flexibility, but it's also gonna loosen his glutes and his hamstrings. So to start off this stretch, you wanna start in a plank position. So that means your shoulders, your hands are gonna be a little bigger than shoulder width apart. Your feet are gonna be dorsiflexed, nice and tucked under. What you're gonna do is you're gonna bring either leg, I'm gonna bring my right leg forward. Make sure your hands still stay shoulder width apart, a little wider. You can either have your foot dorsiflex or you can plantar flex. I think if you plantar flex, you get a deeper stretch. So if you're very flexible, your hips are very good, you're gonna get your foot pretty much straight aligned. For those that aren't, your foot's gonna be a little lower back. It's totally okay. We're gonna work through this stretch. So the point is you wanna get your glute as close to the floor as possible without opening your hips. So you're gonna get a nice stretch. You wanna hold this for about 15 to 20 seconds as well. So in order to kind of make this an active stretch to work through it, you wanna push down into the floor through your shin and your knee, as well as tighten your glutes and your hamstrings. Squeeze everything for about 5 seconds, and then release after 5 seconds. Take a deep breath and get closer to the floor. It should help you get a little closer. For those that aren't as flexible, you can always flex your other knee to get that stretch as well. Nice, hold it for the same amount of time. Your hips are a little more open, but it gets you working towards being nice and perfect. Make sure you're not leaning completely forward as well. That's one fault that I find is people lean too forward. You want to stay nice and straight, hand shoulder width apart. So let's go ahead and try it. Very nice, one in front of the other. Very nice. Go ahead and push through your knee, tighten your glutes, your hamstrings, about 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax, get a deeper stretch. Very nice, way to lower. See, he's not leaning too far forward. Very good, his glutes close. We can use some work. That's what this is for. And go ahead and release out of that stretch. Go to your other side. Good job. Push down for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath, relax. Feel yourself get closer to the floor. Nice, good job.